Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Hey, Jason, Del, Jennifer, Nikki, what's up? I just wrapped up. Just trying to see if we've got anyone here that was in Hawaii with us. No, no. Hi, how's it going? We just wrapped up our agency accelerator here in beautiful Hawaii. And I don't know if you guys can see that. And man, what a week. I'm a little, my head, I'm not going to lie, my head's a little bit sore this morning. Um, we all went out we wrapped things up yesterday, and there's about 60 of us, and we all went out to a luau here in Hawaii. And of course, luaus have all this, all you can eat, all you can drink. And then at around 10 p.m., we ended up back at the hotel. There was about 30 agency owners and Facebook marketers trying to cram into one little hot tub. And the security guard was trying to shut us down. We tried to bribe him with $50. He was threatening to call the police. And then at like 11 p.m., we're trying to interpret constellations on the lawn in Hawaii on the beach. And then I think a few other people kept going till about 2 a.m. So really, really great just to meet everyone and connect like that and talk Facebook smack and client smack and agency smack. And it's really good to, sometimes I feel like in our industry, especially with everything happening with Facebook nowadays, you know, clients are panicking. People are going, oh my God, should I even invest in Facebook anymore? Or, you know, what's going to happen to you? Is this like diversify your eggs? Screw Facebook. What should I do? Agencies are dying. Like you see all this stuff out there and you start to think, is this true? Like, is this all of this stuff? You start to doubt what you're doing and the service or the space that you're in. And to hear from some of the speakers and agency owners out there and to connect as a community the way that has been happening in the last 3 days has just been so refreshing, because you're like, let people get scared, let people bounce, because that's more opportunities for us. And you start to realize just how big the opportunities are and actually how small you're thinking. And especially those that are scared, you know, it's a scarcity mindset, really. All right. Ryan, you made it. Let them all delete Facebook. Yeah. Okay, cool. So today I don't think this is going to be an hour long together. We'll do a bit of a Q&A in case you guys have some questions. But essentially, I'm going to share with you something that I'm not too happy about personally. And I'll show you guys how it rolls out on websites and funnels, and then also some other repercussions that you need to think about around your lookalike audiences and stuff like that. And that is essentially the root cause of it all is GDPR. So this regulation that the EU is putting in place that is becoming effective on the 25th of May, which is all around data collection and privacy, the right to know what data is being collected and how it's being used, and also the right to access that data that people are collecting on you. Now, this is rolling out in the EU, which means technically anyone that is having any funnels, like ads, anything like that targeting EU countries, it applies to. However, the ripple effect of the GDPR is that, especially combined with the whole Cambridge Analytica scandal, where Facebook came under a lot of fire around privacy and data, the ripple effect has been basically said, yes, we do need regulations. And although they don't want to be regulated, Facebook is trying to figure out ways to make it a self-regulating platform. And essentially outsource regulation to users. But essentially, Mark has come out and said, well, we are going to apply some of the same principles around data protection and privacy. And we're going to hammer down on some things now to protect the users a little bit more. And this is applicable worldwide. So if you are a Facebook marketer, with the exception of a few countries, but basically just consider it worldwide. So this is what we're going to be taking you through today, specifically in relation to Facebook ads. So I'm not going to go into the GDPR, what it means, or for website developers. We're actually just looking at it from a funnel perspective and our Facebook marketing, okay? So the first thing I want to show you, I'm going to share my screen now because I'm actually going to show you a couple funnels and websites. And then we'll go through and have a chat around the ads and the audiences, custom audiences and stuff like that. I'm not a fan of this. I think I've said that already, but I will, oops, hold on. Let me bring up my screen properly. Where did you guys go? Share screen. Okay. Can you guys all see this? Okay, so we've started to, let me pull up the chat so I can see what you guys are doing. Okay, we have, we have started to basically implement this GDPR thing across our assets, and it's a task that we have internally. Our funnel team has to basically roll this out across all of the funnels that we're running ads to, all of our website assets, et cetera, et cetera. The GDPR had already said that they would follow the yeah. So this is what 8loop looks like now. It's fucking ugly. All right. So I'm going to start with the website. So this is our agency website, essentially. And it has a beautiful, beautiful, highly intrusive, above the fold, prominent display of that, basically a disclaimer that we are collecting information, and by using this website you are agreeing to that, and that essentially you can read our privacy policy if you would like to find out how we use this information, or contact us to access your information. So here, sorry guys, there's like a garbage truck going past. So this is our privacy policy here. Let me just see. And it basically stipulates some of the newer, we always had a privacy policy, but now it just needs to be a lot more robust. Well, so our developer lives in the UK, and I think he's just very excitable about these GDPR regulations. I'm not a fan of the big banner. Oh, see, it only works if you, it's on, so you basically have to put this on every single page of your website, but I think once you continue browsing, it basically, you're accepting the terms of it. Fuck. So I've lost it now because my IP address. How can I do this? Let's see if I log out. Let me log out of this and see if that's gonna help. Yeah, that's what I just did. How do I open an incognito? I don't even know how to do that. Shift Command N. Okay, cool. Thank you, Taylor. So it's supposed to be on every single page of your website. And basically this clause is referring to a recent policy change that's happened with that Facebook release. So I'm going to take you behind that. But basically it says If you have a pixel on your site, you must clearly warn and advise users that you are collecting information. Okay, so he's gone all out. This is kind of more of a GDPR compliant one, but I'll show you a funnel that is more for Facebook. Like, I don't think Facebook needs this. And in fact, you don't need this tab either. So I'll show you some different examples of this, but this is like pretty much like the most solid version of what you could get with your GDPR compliance. As you can tell, it's fucking ugly. I'm not really happy about it, but essentially it clearly tells people that we are using cookies. So do you have to set it only show traffic from Facebook? Now there was talk around, well, this is our website, so it's just on our site, on every page on our site. If we had a funnel and we were driving like LinkedIn traffic, then yeah, I guess you could just, if you knew you weren't targeting anyone in the EU, then you could, technically speaking, just create a funnel for LinkedIn traffic that didn't have any kind of pop-up or any sticky tab or anything like that, and then have a separate funnel just for your Facebook ads. But bear in mind, if there's any customers coming in from the EU, that funnel all of a sudden needs to comply under GDPR. So you just need to be certain of that. So if you're international, it's a bit risky to make that move, right? To not have it up. If you know that you're only targeting Australia, for example, or you can only sell within New Zealand or the United States, then yes, technically speaking. No, it doesn't. And in fact, Jennifer, if someone browses, they don't even have to click OK. Like as soon as they hit anything, see? It's basically like as soon as you're basically agreeing to our terms. Now, there was talk that basically you couldn't even pixelize someone until they explicitly gave you permission. And the rules were really, really unclear about that. And so we did a bit of digging around into that to see like, what is the situation here, right? How would this even work? Because essentially what that implies is that because as soon as a page loads, the person is pixeled, right? Whether or not they agree to those terms, they've just been pixelized. So part of the terms, which was, I'm reading it officially what they're saying, right? Yeah, so if, and this is GDPR compliance, not necessarily Facebook, but it was basically saying if you have, you can't even collect any information till they explicitly agree to this. However, we did a bit of digging around and it's almost impossible to set this up. So the only option that you would have with that is if you send everyone to a buffer page, basically. So your website essentially becomes almost like a buffer lander that doesn't have pixels on it or any information collection. And then people can continue onto the site. And you can imagine this is going to be a really awkward user experience. So although there's like kind of a insinuation inside the GDPR that this is the case, honestly, I don't think that is practically going to be rolled out. I can't see how it could happen because as soon as someone loads a page, they are being pixelized. So that's one of the things that was a little bit unclear. Before we kick in a little bit more, guys, I just want to be super, super clear. Like I'm going to be showing you terms to add to your contract. I'm going to be showing you the policy changes. I'm going to be showing you another funnel, and then we're going to talk about lookalikes and custom audiences. I just want to be, I've shown you a privacy policy here. I just want to reiterate that, and feel free to go on our website and mimic, obviously change out the business name and your address, but feel free to mimic our policy, our privacy policy. But please get a lawyer to look at your stuff, right? I'm not a lawyer. So Yeah, it's totally worth it. Yeah. So Kaylee, this is an interesting thing. So we're just starting to roll this out in funnels, and I don't have enough data. And in fact, they've even said that only 25% of websites in the EU are GDPR compliant right now, and it's almost May. So whether or not every business is just like waiting till the last minute to roll this out, or there's just going to be a shit ton of websites that don't even have it until like a while, or until they see people getting hefty fines, who knows? But someone in the mastermind mentioned something very interesting last week. They said, listen, it could actually help conversions, because in a way it's almost like a small yes, you know, the psychology behind the foot in the door, right? Get a small yes, small yeses, and it's easier to ask for the big yes. So in a way, getting someone to say continue, or yes, I agree, or okay, is a little bit like asking for that small yes. So no, but I did message Russell. I was like, yo, you need to roll this feature out so that funnels you can automatically just click something. And because Shopify is starting to roll out a GDPR compliant feature for websites automatically. Yeah, if someone creates a plugin, there's a business opportunity, right? Yeah. Okay, so these are the privacy policies that came out. So let me put these in for those of you that are interested, and we'll run through the main things in here together. The new terms. So they basically updated their terms on how you can use SDKs, and then obviously custom audiences, because they came under a lot of shit with the whole Cambridge Analytica. Okay, so before we go into the terms and talk a little bit about these, what I want to show you is another example of a funnel using how Facebook says, if you have a pixel on your site, you must clearly warn and advise users that you are collecting information. So it's no longer okay to just have a privacy policy right at the bottom of the fold of your website. You have to clearly tell people that they are being their information is being collected, essentially. So what we have, for example, this is a funnel right now. And we just set this up to show you guys. I don't know if this is actually an active one right now, but so here's an example of how, and this is using ClickFunnels, of how you could roll this out as well. It's a little bit less confronting than the one you saw on the 8Loop Social website. It says, we use cookies to help us improve, promote, and protect our services. By continuing to use the site, you agree to our privacy policy. And essentially links to a privacy policy, which was just created in ClickFunnels as well. And then if they click continue, the way that this button was set up is that it just hides this bar. It is sticky, so it is prominent, essentially. I don't think you need to make this sticky, though. So if you're building funnels for clients, basically you need to have somewhere above the fold. You could put it, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse right now, but you could put it here, say on the left-hand corner, a little pop-up that comes up. You could put it at the top. You could try to make it as discreet, like this one's using a grayed out button. We don't want to confuse people with our main calls to action, but we also want to make sure we're complying with Facebook's new terms. Because here's the thing, guys. Facebook, who's ever had an ad account shut down? Yeah, I can share this with you guys. Here you go. Yeah, I mean, I've had heaps, so I don't think you're a real Facebook marketer until you've had an ad account shut down on you. So Alexis is saying IU Benda is a good plugin. You had your whole face, not just my ad account, just my whole Facebook account. So Kurt O'Malley was a presenter yesterday. The guy is a gun. He works like with Molly Pittman for ManyChat, runs a 7-figure month agency. And he got sued by Facebook in 2007. And yeah, that's what they did to him. They sent him a letter in the mail and said, you are not allowed to use Facebook anymore. And he got everything taken off of him, all his Facebook, everything. And I think that's kind of where I'm going at with this, guys. Facebook goes through they go through phases where they will kill off ad accounts. And a lot of the times they just went through one recently. Would have been around December, December, maybe Feb. It was pretty recent, and it was about, it lasted for about 2-3 months where, and I say this because I see a lot of ad accounts every week because of FATC and the Academy and ad hacks. And we just noticed a prolific rise in people saying ad accounts were being shut down. We saw it in our clients as well. And I also had it happen to me too. And what was happening at that time is that they were going through, and any ad account that had, an unbalanced positive to negative feedback. So there wasn't a lot of positive feedback, or too high of negative feedback on the ad account, was just getting shut down. Even if someone had put, $2 million through that account, it was just getting shut down. So in fact, one of the accounts that we lost had put well over $2 million. So it was a healthy ad account. It had, we'd put a lot of money through that, and that goes for something, right? Because ad accounts have quality scores. So a lot of the times, if you have put a lot of money through and you've paid your bill on time, you have a good quality score. And that's better than a new ad account when you go in the auction process. So they were just killing ad accounts. And at the end of the day, what they're interested in is the user experience, right? They want to protect that user experience, and they don't care. They don't care if you're a big ass brand, or if you spend a lot of money on ads, or if you've been loyal Facebook marketers since 2008. They don't care. They will shut you down if they want to, or if they sniff anything that could compromise the engagement. This is why when a whole bunch of marketers came back from a certain conference, I'm not going to name and shame anything here, but Tom was like, oh my God, so many people are being misled and are going to get their pages basically banned right off of Facebook with the advice that was being given, because of how marketers were starting to use bots. And lo and behold, 2 months later, they basically stripped access from connecting pages to new bots. So any connections from, if your page wasn't connected to the bot before, they've basically stopped that. Now there's whispers that that's going to be in about 2 weeks time lifted. So hopefully that's true. So if you're trying to roll a bot strategy for a new client, looks like hopefully in 2 weeks time that will be the case. But they basically, anything, you don't want to give Facebook any reason, copyrighted images, anything like that, to shut you down, because if they catch whiff of it, they will shut you down. So basically, where all of this is going is that firstly, all of your funnels should always have a privacy policy. In fact, if you don't have a privacy policy on your landing pages, I guarantee you are being penalized in the auction process right now, because Facebook scans your landing pages and your websites, right? So the bots scan it, and they will see that you don't have a privacy policy. And in fact, probably a lot of you guys, the ads just don't even run. They stall, or they get disapproved. And that could be a reason why. So you should always have a privacy policy on every funnel you're sending Facebook traffic to. And now Facebook that is stipulating, if you have a pixel on your site, you have to clearly warn. You want to make sure that you're actually following that as well. Because again, what I was trying to get at here is, if you don't, they will shut you down, guys. And so this is something that you need to tell clients when you're engaging with them and you're rolling out their funnels, is like, look, it's not the prettiest thing, but unfortunately these are the rules, they're the regulations. Now, what I suspect though is that for consumers, we're not even going to notice this stuff anymore, And honestly, if I was on website and I was shopping for clothes and I saw a pretty dress that I wanted to buy and this came up on their site, I wouldn't think twice about it. I'd be like, whatever, exit. How do I exit out of this pop-up, Let me look at this dress. So I think I don't think that it's necessarily going to cost you conversions. In fact, it will be interesting to see the stats. It will potentially help you a little bit with conversions because it's a small yes. People are giving you a small yes. Yes, you can collect my information and I want to see your products, essentially. Easy to invalidate prospects, funnels, setups. Brian, I'm not sure I'm following here. What does that mean? Invalidate. Easy money. Yeah. Well, that's great upsell, right? So now this is the thing, like it's so funny. Like people have such weird mindsets sometimes. Like everyone's like, oh my God, Facebook, it's the ruin of Facebook ads. And no one wants to be on Facebook anymore. No one's going to want to advertise on Facebook. They're making it so hard. And I'm like, that's a good thing. It's good that they're making it harder because then you don't have all these DIY clients anymore. The easier it is, the more the clients will want to DIY it themselves, right? The harder it is because now they're removing partner categories, right? So interest-based, any targeting that is relying on third-party data from Axiom or any of their data partners, for example. So if you're asking for income, if you're targeting people by income, if you're targeting people by their job titles, this is all partner category data. And it's going to make running ads a little bit trickier. For sure, it's going to make it a little bit harder. But that's a good thing for us. And that's something you should be telling your prospects on the phone is you explain the environment. You go, listen, I don't know if you've heard about this, about Cambridge Analytica and GDPR and all of this. It's really affected the landscape of how things work behind the scenes now. We've spent the last 2 months upskilling the team and upskilling ourselves to make sure we're across all of this. And we know how to make sure that all of your funnels are going to be compliant with this. And we also know how to set up your campaigns to protect you from potentially not, like other marketers might start using partner category targeting. And then in 3 weeks time, your entire funnels will collapse when they slip that from under our rugs, right? So this is a good thing. It means that you can, that you have fewer DIYers out there clients that are going to try to DIY it themselves. And you can use this in your calls to onboard clients. You guys agree? I'm excited. I'm like, yes, hell yeah. Schema, that kind of stuff, always. Every time schema or anything like that, I love throwing that in sales calls. I'm like, yeah, you don't have schema on your site. And I've met guys that spend $10 million a month and they're like, what the fuck is that? And they're so I need it. How do I get it? And they're huge marketers, right? They're huge advertisers. So anything like that really helps you to position yourself and upsell your services. Okay, so I've shown you an example of, you can check out 8 Loop Social for the GDPR intense one. Obviously that was built by a guy in the UK who was super into it. If you want the full GDPR compliant version of it, that's what it looks like. It's on our agency website just for you guys. I will probably tone it down in a month and create a much softer version of it. But that's the full-blown GDPR version of it. And then here's a version of what it looks like on a funnel for clients that you're building it. And then also you have access to the privacy policy template through the 8 Loop Social website. Now, just make sure that you edit out the company names there and make sure that you refer to a lawyer as well, because I'm based in New Zealand here. Okay, guys? So I've also posted the links for the recent updates to their terms. So what they're doing, this one is about how anyone that works on large pages, Facebook pages. So if you're working on a Facebook page that has 20,000 followers or 50,000 followers on it, everyone inside of your business manager that is posting content to that page. So if you guys do content marketing for your clients, needs to be verified. Okay, so just be aware of that. And then this is the main one around the SDK, Facebook API, and custom audience. So I've posted that one as well. So let's go through some of those main points in a little bit more detail and discuss what this means for you. So let's just talk about custom audiences. This has really nothing to do with the GDPR scandal and more around the, not scandal, it's not a scandal, it has nothing to do around GDPR more than it has to do with the Cambridge Analytica scandal. So obviously Facebook caught a lot of heat over what was done with custom audiences and segmentation with targeting from by Cambridge Analytica. And basically what it's decided to do is remove partner categories, which is a lot of interest-based and demographic-based targeting. So one of the things that you just want to be aware of is, as what I would recommend for now, is like any clients that you're now working with, I would highly recommend that you get into a good practice of phasing out those audiences. Or at the very least, setting up ad sets that are like lookalikes, for example, in case so that when this happens, your client accounts are ready for it. They're not just going to crash and burn and come to a complete stall because there's no targeting or the targeting's just been changed, right? So be proactive with this. With all of your new clients, I would recommend that you start phasing out or testing out different types of targeting at the very least to be proactive and prepare yourself for when this happens. Other important things that you guys should be across is that you are now, if you're an agency on behalf of an advertiser, so a lot of you guys on here, that's what you do. You are now liable for the information that you collect. So, or the audiences that you set up inside the ad account, and that those custom audiences were acquired legally. Okay, so you are liable for that, not the advertiser. So what this means is that you need to have terms inside of your own contract that clearly stipulates, you need to have terms around that for your client that stipulates all the data that you're giving us, all those custom audiences that you're giving us. You have legal, you've ensured they're clean, you have rights over them. It's not mined data, et cetera, et cetera. And if it turns out not to be, you are liable for that. So that if something happens to you, the end onus goes to the client, okay? So there are some terms that I can share with you guys. Again, get a lawyer to look at that, but just make it a habit now. For your existing clients, I would highly recommend that you just send that out to them. You can set it up like in an Adobe Sign or 17 Hats, whatever you send out for contracts. Set it up as like a one-pager and just go, hey, Facebook just updated its terms around custom audiences. We need you to just sign and just, confirm that you're going to be playing by the books, right? Because otherwise we don't want to be liable. Basically, you're going to take liability for any data that you provide us with as an agency. So that's one of the things to be really, really important that you guys add and send out to your existing customers just to protect yourself, okay? So another one that's really interesting is you. So I'm reading this exact term. You or partners acting on your behalf may not place pixels associated with your business manager or ad account on websites that you do not own without our written permission. Sounds simple, right? Okay, great. I'm not allowed to put a pixel on a website that I don't own. Meh, doesn't matter. Well, think about this. Who uses Eventbrite? what other examples of sites like Eventbrite that you can pixelize? Yeah, solely. So now you're technically not allowed to add your Facebook pixel to an Eventbrite event unless you have written permission from Facebook to do so. So that's interesting, right? That really changes dynamics. So any website that is not owned by you, so just to clarify, if it's a Shopify website, they own the domain that is owned by the client. Don't worry about that, even though Shopify is the platform. We're talking about things like Eventbrite or I don't think you can pixelize Kickstarter, but those kinds of things. Teespring. Any other examples, guys? Let me write these down. Teespring, Eventbrite. I'll maybe create a big list for you guys and share it later. Think of a few more. I'll ask Tom. But any website like that that you don't own, but that you can add a tracking pixel to, you need written permission from Facebook. So just be aware of that. Okay, so we've covered the prominently displaying. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so lastly, the last thing before I open up for Q&A, guys, is so here's where it gets like a little bit messy. If you have someone that, let's say you've created a custom audience of people that opted into your email list, and then you are targeting those individuals and someone opts out of that email list, you're technically now under these new terms not supposed to be using them in that custom audience, okay? And especially under GDPR. So as a marketer, you should probably make it a habit to clean up and refresh those custom audiences. And that includes lookalikes that were created from those custom audiences. So basically, if someone has opted out and they've said, I don't want you to use my information anymore or contact me anymore, well, according to the new terms, you're not allowed to be targeting them. You're not allowed to be targeting any ads to them. They've opted out, right? They don't want to be in your funnels anymore. So what that means, practically speaking, is that you, which is really hard because if your custom audience list is not dynamically updated, right? You actually have to make it like a process inside of your agency now where someone goes through and maybe once a week like tidies up or re-uploads those custom audiences to make sure that there's, you know, the people that did opt out are no longer in that list. So that's another thing to be aware of, okay? So it is a little bit of a pain in the ass, these new terms, how it's going to be policed and exactly what some of it means is still unclear. So even when you go through the terms, for example, one of the things that's really, really a little bit ambiguous is the sharing of the pixel across multiple ad accounts. So what it sounds like is you can't share. So what we used to do, for example, is we would have say, well, this is a big strategy, right? If you had a client with large ad spends, you would have, you know, one ad account with the pixel that you would use, and then you would share that pixel across multiple ad accounts. So that happens quite a lot. Like we share pixels a lot. If you read the terms, it sounds like they don't want you to do that. And in fact, especially over business managers. However, we're still looking into that and trying to clarify, like, what exactly does that mean? Is it ad accounts of different businesses, or is it okay if it's the same business, just different ad accounts? And it sounds like, hopefully, you shouldn't share the pixel into different businesses. So ad accounts selling different businesses or pages, etc., like that. And that kind of goes back to like, hey, if you're pixelizing a website that isn't yours, you need to ask us for written permission type of thing. But it sounds like, hopefully, and we're still clarifying this, if it's yours and it's the same business, then it might be okay. And I hope that's the case, because it's a really big strategy that we use. We always set up a separate ad account just to use the pixel in case ad accounts get shut down, that it protects that pixel. So yeah, so I'll update you guys. Connect.io, two-way synced. Yeah, I met him last month, the guy that created that. For your list, cleaning up your audience, really important. Yeah. So Jennifer, how would you get written permission from Facebook? You would just have to go through chat or support. Which we all know is a lot of fun to do. If you don't have a rep, you'll have to do it through chat or support. Yeah. Okay, so let's open it up. Brian, is this GDPR only for Facebook ads? Isn't Google also complying? If so, wonder how. I don't know anything about Google. Facebook keeps me busy enough. So it's a full-time job just trying to stay across what's happening with Facebook. So I have no idea what's happening with Google. Maybe someone on here can clarify. I would assume absolutely Google is complying or rolling some similar stuff out. It's interesting. I think the same week that Facebook announced it was pulling back audiences, Google released it was rolling out new audiences. But yeah, for sure it would comply in some way. So with this implementation on ClickFunnels, does the funnel page work, or do they have to click continue before the rest of the page is functional? So Raphael, it does work. It's just that you have to make it prominent enough that they know they can pay attention, they see it basically, and they know that if they continue browsing, that they're accepting those terms under the privacy policy. What it initially sounded like was that you could, and this is under the GDPR regulations, not Facebook, but what it sounds like under the GDPR regulations is like you can't even make it work until they accept. But that's what I was saying at the beginning. It's like when you actually start to think about technically, how would that even work? How could you even set that up? Like for a lot of funnels, you would almost, like unless ClickFunnels rolled out a feature for that, the only option right now would be to create a buffer page that then redirects to the main website, right? Which would be really whack. It would be a really weird user experience. I would imagine it would kill a lot of conversions, right? And so technically, it doesn't actually make sense. It doesn't make sense. And that doesn't surprise me, guys, because you guys all saw that testimony by Mark Zuckerberg and those congressmen. Like, those are the people that are making laws around our data protection online, and they had no fucking idea how. I think one of them asked Mark at one stage, "How, if you're not selling products, how are you making money?" I don't know if that was a serious question, but if it was, it's very concerning that that's the people that are making laws. And I am assuming that to some extent, a lot of what happened in that testimony is probably similar with the GDPR, where it's probably a lot of people that don't actually understand how to build funnels or tactically make this shit work, right? Going, no, these are the rules, and not actually thinking about how online really works and how do you actually apply this shit, right? How do you not pixelize someone? Because as soon as they load the page, the pixel will load. So how do you fucking stop that? Unless every platform on the world releases some kind of plugin that does that. I don't know. But there's nothing out there right now that I know of. So the only thing I know of is building a buffer page, which is just whack. That's crazy. Yeah, so Cookies all over, yeah. Well, the thing is, there's like millions and millions and millions of us. I don't know any UK lawyers. If anyone is in the UK, what I can do is I can ask my funnel guy, and I'm sure he would love, he'd probably drool over sending you guys in the UK lots of. UK will be banned from Facebook soon, yeah. All right, any other questions? A lot of pages from do not let you continue until you agree to cookies. Yeah, but those are like WordPress, right? So you can get plugins for that. What I'm meaning is like all the other stuff that we're running stuff from. Yeah, like ClickFunnels. So, you're sending someone to a lead magnet, you know? So yeah, they until those plugins are rolled out, we're kind of like, yeah, we want to comply, but how do we comply without totally messing up conversions? Yeah, I mean, Brian, I'm really interested. It could go either way, right? Who knows? It could be something like May 25th rolls around, and you know they get really serious about it, and they see it as a money making opportunity and go hard after businesses, and businesses see the consequences of the ones that didn't pay attention, and as marketers we all take it seriously. Or it could be like, a slap on the wrist type of thing, and then it's like, oh yeah, this regulation, whatever. So I don't know. All I know is that personally with our businesses, we're not taking the risk. So internally, we have a project set up for our team that before May, I think it's like the 20th, before May 20th, all of our funnels, all of our assets need to be compliant with Facebook's new terms, as well as the GDPR, because we do target internationally. So I'm not willing to take that risk. Whether or not it becomes something serious, I have no doubt, as someone mentioned before, someone's going to build plugins and try to make some fancy stuff that looks less offensive, and consumers will get used to it, and it will just all settle into a new normal, and this stuff happens, right? So that's okay. We just adapt. That is the key for anything in life and in business. You adapt. If shit happens, you adapt. And if you're a Facebook marketer and you've been a Facebook marketer and you still have some of your sanity left, and you've been doing it for over 2 to 3 years, it means by definition you are able to adapt, because there's a lot of changes that Facebook is so different than 2 years ago. That was a totally different platform 2 years ago. So you have adapted along the way. All right, so guys, I will send you guys those terms that you can add inside of your contract. Please get a lawyer to just sign it off, because I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to get you in trouble, and ours are under New Zealand law. Get a lawyer, and feel free to check out our website. I posted the link to that funnel as well as an example, and feel free to swipe our privacy policy as well. Just edit it out and get a lawyer across that. All right, so I love you and leave you. See you guys, Academy. I'll see you guys later this week. Take care, everyone. I'll stop sharing the screen. Go rest my head a bit. See ya, everyone.